Hate to see it botched? Here's the best bits of Botching It Up podcast short clip.
When you're just watching it through, was that you said you loved the story, but there was no in-ring quality. You thought the match itself was pretty dire.
So let me explain this. The first 15 minutes of their match, I loved it. I thought those two together, great chemistry. It was a decent match, but they overbooked the match in the last 10 minutes. There was too much of choking each other unconscious, and the referee would just stand there on top of him and say, "Do you quit? Do you quit? Do you quit?" The guy's unconscious, not answering. Like, how does that make any logical sense? Everyone just looks stupid. And then people run into the cell, so no longer do we have this gimmick of they're trapped in a cell, they're going to kill each other. No, the door's open, there's like 8 people in there, but the 8 people aren't doing anything. They're not holding anyone back, they're not getting in the way. They just stood there crowding the place. And it just more and more things, more and more layers keep happening, and none of it makes sense. And for me, it was just tearing the match apart. And I thought the match was thrown out. And then they beat up, and then we get that really cool spot where Roman sat there, and he starts crying. He's like, "Who have I become?" And Jimmy's like, "We're there for you, brother. We'll help you." And he starts choking him out. And then Jay quits to save his brother, which in the moment itself is really cool. But I thought the match had been thrown out 10 minutes ago. I didn't realize we still had a match here. It was chaos and absurd.
This is a really interesting perspective that you're showing me, because I did not see any of the stuff that you're talking about. I did not see the crowding of the cell. I didn't see the rules of the cell having to be closed, because basically fundamentally they got me in the story. Roman doing 3 spears on Uso, and then Uso saying, "I can't breathe," and they were just muttering to each other, and Roman saying over and over again to Jey Uso at one point, "Come on, Us, let's go home, let's go home." Just talking to himself. Paul Heyman's getting a bit worried, not on behalf of Jey Uso, but on behalf of what Roman Reigns will do to Jey Uso when he gets back up. It felt vicious, it felt real, it felt bloodthirsty, it felt fitting for a cell match. And while I understand the points that you're making about the actual effectiveness of the reality of the situation of the match, I didn't notice, because I thought they did an excellent job of immersing me within that story, to the point where, I swear, man, I don't think you would have noticed this anywhere near as much if they had a crowd, honestly, because it started to get to those levels of storytelling, not saying it to the same quality, but to those levels of storytelling that you're seeing in Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior, Hogan versus Rock, where they can just land a clothesline on each other. And the crowd's going mental. They're eating it up because they're delivering such a powerful back and forth.
Yeah, for sure. If there was a crowd, this would be next level.
I actually kind of like the strap stuff, because it just added another layer of viciousness. Because after the Clash match, I didn't really know where they were going with this, because Roman brutally murdered Jey Uso, basically. I liked when Roman first came in and he started acting like Brock without the fury. He was just calm, collected, and controlling. But then he started selling for Jey Uso, which I didn't like as much, because we'd already seen him be destroyed, So I thought that adding that strap was good, because it added a level of sort of furious intensity while making it deeply personal again.
The strap is fine, but it was the last 5 minutes of the whole thing. Like, it really broke. For me, it felt really stilted. It wasn't a match anymore. I think if we hadn't had all those people come in to try and break them up, and we just had that final moment with Jimmy, because that was a really nice finish, and really, really fitting of the story.
It was a great finish. And honestly, the finishes throughout this show for the matches that actually mattered were great. All 3 of them.
So honestly, it goes down to, I think I say this every time we do a WWE pay-per-view, the guys in the ring, the talent, like, nailed it, but the people who are putting this match together, it just feels sloppy and overbooked.
Okay, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna disagree with it as much as I usually agree with it, because I actually thought that the actual Hell in a Cell matches were well put together. I do get your point about the Roman match feeling unstructured, because it definitely was. It was a bit all over the place. It was chaotic. There were people running around and doing stuff, but just for me personally, I thought it suited I thought it felt normal. It felt fine because they've built Roman up to a point now where he's quite clearly willing to hurt and do anything to his family and his relatives.
So what do you think of the Wild Samoans making a cameo, coming out in socks and sandals?
So this was great as well.
Yeah, it's cool.
I read up somewhere about the garlands. So that the white garland represents peace and harmony and family and stuff, which is why Jey Uso tears it apart just before Roman gets in the ring. And the red garland is reserved only for the head of the tribe, for the Kingsmen, for the lions of the Samoan tribe. So that's why they handed him a red garland and basically showed their approval over these losers, Usos, as the king. I love everything that they're doing with this, and they've tried to do this stuff before. Like, they gave us Cena Orton for a year and tried to tell us that there was this much intensity to it. But this stuff just writes itself.
I wish commentary had explained that a bit better. They kind of got the point across that he was given the red one to be anointed as the leader of the family, but they didn't explain it as well as you just did.
Well, it's just Cole getting a bit too excited, isn't it? Because I picked up that white garland bit from him directly, and that made me go look up the red stuff, which they should have just mentioned. But then, obviously, again, there's little things like that. The red and white garland, the fact that Jey was wearing white and Roman was wearing black. These seem like small details that Vince wouldn't tell Cole to say because Vince didn't come up with them. This seems like a lot of the story has been created between the Usos and Roman, and they've put in small, tiny details because they actually care about the program. And look what happens when two wrestlers really care about the program.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff.
They haven't.
I don't think the Roman Reigns Jey Uso match needed to be in the Hell in a Cell. I think if that was just an I Quit match, we would have got the same match. They used the cell a few times, but wasn't necessary.
I'd still rather the Roman match be in the cell than the McIntyre.
Oh yeah, no, I would rather it be. But I'm just saying that match could have been just as good without it.
Yeah. A large problem as well is not just the trying to pace 3 cells in a 3-hour show. It's what you fill in with. The slapjack Bobby Lashley was fine because that was a 3.5 minute piece of bullshit that nobody was paying attention to and sort of cleansed the palate, or attempted to, for the next Hell in a Cell. But they put 2 of the worst angles on TV at the moment, one after the other, after the first cell. So it's not really... Because the whole point of these matches outside of the big gimmick matches, right, is to sort of calm you down, chill you out, give you something different so that you're then rejuvenated again for the next gimmick match. I assume that's the point of them. But you've just given me 2 boring matches in a row that I don't want to see.
I've always found this so fascinating about WWE because I, just like everyone else, need those respites between the big matches. But then when you watch shows like New Japan, they never give you a break. Each match is better than the last one, and they just keep ramping it up more and more and more till your main event. They never give you a piss break. But in WWE, you need a piss break.
I feel like that's just different styles, though, isn't it?
I know, but I just find it so crazy that is a thing.
New Japan is not catered to storyline throughout the entire show. And maybe that's where WWE goes wrong. You might be right. Like, do we need continual storyline the whole show? We've got it with the 3 main Hell in a Cell matches. How much do we care about Elias Jeff Hardy? And
let's just see a random AJ Bobby Lashley match for no reason.
But I think that would get boring as well, wouldn't it?
Possibly.
I don't know. There's something about the WWE style, and I think it is catered towards the problem of storyline, where they just seem to continually suffer from having to come up with a reason for people to fight. And if they don't come up with a reason for people to fight, it feels a lot more stagnant than a normal television match on AEW, in which they have no reason to fight.
Yeah.
Like, share, and subscribe to keep it botched up, brother.